We've all heard that phrase, change your habits, change your life, right? You've probably heard that. But here's my question for you. Which habits matter the most in changing your life and helping you achieve long-term success? Specifically, because we know lots of people who have good habits, right? And yet they see other people pass them by. Some people have good health habits, and yet they're wiped out by Wednesday. Some people have good habits in their relationships, but they can't get some people to believe in them or buy from them or support them. Sometimes you have good, habits in productivity. You're organized and you're staying on track and you're trying to be focused, and yet you see these other people pass you by. Like, what's the difference? How do you reach heightened and sustained success over the long term? My name is Brendon Burchard, and I'm the author of this new book called High Performance Habits: How Extraordinary People Become That Way. And I've been blessed to spend the last 10 years as a professional certified high performance coach, working with some of the most influential people in the world. And I've been able to decode exactly what makes them so unique. And over the last 3 years, we've just completed one of the world's largest studies of high performers with data from over 190 countries. What is it that high performers are doing differently than everybody else? Because it does matter which habits you do, which ones first, which order, and what practices you use to sustain them on purpose. Because the habits that make you extraordinary aren't habits that you're just unconsciously good at. It's that what we found from high performers from, again, one of the world's largest studies ever done, was that they were practicing what we call deliberate habits. These were habits that they had to consistently practice consciously and conscientiously in order to keep outperforming their peers. And let me tell you about those 6 habits. The first habit of high performance is to seek clarity consistently. High performers are just asking themselves questions more often about who they want to be, how they want to interact with other people, what's important to focus on now, what would they find meaningful, what emotional qualities do they want to experience in their life. And because they're consistently asking those questions, they're getting better results than others. But you and I both know sometimes having clarity is hard. What's the right next decision for you and your family? If you have 2 good opportunities, which one do you choose? That's the topic of the chapter on clarity in my book. The second big habit for high performers is to generate energy. High performers do have greater levels of mental focus and stamina, greater positive range of emotions, and greater physical vitality and health. But how do they get that? Why is it that high performers don't burn out? You'll find that on the chapter of generating energy. The third habit of high performance is to raise performance necessity. In other words, they're getting themselves in the zone, but they're doing it in a specific way, using very specific sort of mental ninjutsu. And I'm going to teach you how to do that. The fourth habit of high performance is to increase productivity. Something I know you already know you need to do, but we struggle with. You get distracted, you forget what to focus on, you feel like you're not being as effective as you can, you're finishing the week with so many things that you didn't get done. Why? It's not because you're lazy, it's not because you're not a hard worker, and it's not because you're not smart. It's because high performers identified their primary field of interest. And then in that primary field of interest, they found what is most relevant or different for them to focus on, and then they give 60% of their week to that PQO, creating prolific quality output. I'll teach you how to do that in the productivity chapter of my new book, High Performance Habits. The fifth big habit is to develop influence. How many people do you know who are passionate, who practice a lot and prepare a lot and who persevere, but they're not breaking through because they can't influence other people to believe in them, buy from them, support them, invest in them, champion on their way. They don't know how to lead others, even if they're a good individual contributor, so they never rise to the top. High performers figured out how to develop influence, and I break down their practices for doing that with other people in the chapter on influence. And the last high performance habit is to demonstrate courage. High performers speak their truth more often, meaning they share what they think, feel, need, desire, dream of, want, need help with, more than other people. They're great leaders who are living courageous lives. But the question of all this is how? Well, that's why I wrote this book. This is a moment of time when you can choose to start focusing on the things that matter the most so you can achieve sustained long-term success in your health, in your personal relationships, and your business and your career. And I'd be honored to help you do that.